Singapore unveiling a package of incentives to entice asset managers, including tax exemptions and easier work visas. It's part of a broader push to attract top fund managers and investment talent and sharpen Singapore's competitiveness as a global asset management hub amid growing international competition.
We want to be able to grow the industry, and the growth is what I think will help us to be able to spread the gains of economic growth to a wider pool of people in our society. Now, whether this is done through the provision of good jobs, jobs with better prospects, better pay, or in the case of what we do from our tax and redistribution policy, when the economy is able to do well and we are able to grow our economy, the amount of resources that we can then collect will then allow us to do more, to invest in our people, to invest in our infrastructure, and to be able to look after those who are from more vulnerable settings.
The central bank also launching a new program to encourage leading hedge fund managers to set up or expand their presence in Singapore. A new investment management track under the One Pass scheme will also target global fund management leaders and senior investment professionals. Mr. Chi says these moves aim to attract more top asset managers, global capital and investment talent. He was also asked if the measures are a response to growing competition from Hong Kong.
We don't see the competition with Hong Kong as zero-sum. We believe that the region is big enough, there's enough scope for both cities to grow as financial centers. We do need to take a look at what is happening in the global landscape in reviewing and adjusting our own policies.
Hong Kong and Singapore lead in Asia as cross-border hubs for asset management. Singapore's assets under management, or AUM, rose 10% in 2025 to around $5.2 trillion, with most funds sourced from overseas and invested globally. Hong Kong posted even stronger AUM growth, rising 20% to a record $5.4 trillion. But their strengths are different, and that's dictating how each is rolling out incentives to attract the best in fund managers. Singapore has expanded tax breaks, capital support and visa incentives, while Hong Kong is leaning on its access to China and offshore renminbi markets. While Hong Kong has overtaken Switzerland as world number one for global offshore wealth, Singapore maintains its inherent strengths of political and regulatory stability and, increasingly important now, an openness to tech. We're joined by Kher Sheng Lee. He's co-head of APAC at Alternative Investment Management Association. Thanks for coming in this evening, Mr. Lee.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Singapore's moves coming a day after Hong Kong. Hong Kong's reforms, in the media, we have touted them as Big Bang. So Singapore, relatively speaking, could we call them bigger or at least more wide-ranging bangs?
I will start by saying when the Singapore government speaks, the global business community listens. I think today's announcements by Singapore is its own Big Bang moment to respond to your response, to your question. I think Hong Kong is playing its own game. It has its own package of tax measures that's before its legislature. But Singapore has answered in its own way. Equally, I would say, seismic. It goes beyond tax. It covers talent, and it covers investment of capital in the industry. I would say that the track record of the Singapore authorities is very good, which is why when Minister Chi spoke today, I think my phone hasn't stopped ringing since 1 p.m. today. There's a lot of interest from all around the world to find out what's happening.
Hong Kong has its inherent weaknesses and strengths, or rather, let's not call them weaknesses. The structural, the specific to its the structure of Hong Kong, how it functions. There are constraints in Hong Kong. In Singapore, we would also have our own constraints. So building on our strengths, apart from tax cuts, which both have gone for, Singapore has done a little bit more than. Is that a little bit? Is it a lot more? And how is it a lot more?
Well, when we spoke with the Singapore government, we framed the opportunity as not one of just matching Hong Kong, but playing to Singapore's own strengths and seizing the opportunity to renew our own value proposition, which is why, besides tax, we look at talent and we look at the ability for the Singapore ecosystem to grow. I think Minister Chi spoke about the importance of high-quality jobs in the ecosystem. I think sometimes it's important to remind everyone, every morning 25,000 people wake up in Singapore and work in the asset management sector. And behind these 25,000 jobs, families, your school runs, your mortgages, elderly parents. And I think as the minister mentioned in his statements, these high-quality jobs in turn anchor an entire ecosystem. So it's besides fund managers, you have lawyers, brokers, accountants. As they say, it takes an entire village to support an industry. And I think that's certainly very true of the asset management industry.
Right, put this into simple English for me. So we're looking at three parts: business activities, capital allocation, and talent.
That's
so
right.
you said it's not just tax, but all these different prongs of this program. Would you say, is it too simple to call them just a way of making sure we pay so we get and keep the most talented in portfolio managers?
Yeah, I would say talent is a big part of it. And you're right to point to it as a recurring theme that runs through it. The reason why talent is so important is because in our industry, it's a bit like having a world-class footballer on the pitch or a world-class F1 driver in a cockpit of a racetrack car. A lot of performance of the firm turns on certain key individuals. So it's important that we attract talent there and build teams around there. And I would say that it goes back to the point about anchoring value and growing the ecosystem in Singapore and building a world-class industry right here, right at home. So I would say that today's announcement is not just about the 25,000 people that I talk about. It's potentially about the next 25,000 people. How can we grow the ecosystem so that we can create more high-quality jobs right here?
All right, we can bring them in with all manner of incentives. Can we keep them?
I think that would be the ultimate challenge, which is why the third plank of the Singapore government's measures is around the one pass about talent. I think our fund managers, as we keep receiving a lot of feedback, there are people who wish to stay in Singapore. They brought their families. We're attracting talent from all corners of the world. Question is, how do we keep them anchored in Singapore? So we want to anchor the businesses. We want to anchor the talent. So together we can create that ecosystem that will serve Singapore well.
How does this program do that?
Well, I think what we want is certainty. So if you bring yourself into Singapore, you start up a hedge fund business, for example, that's a very human-centric business. You probably want to bring your spouses, your families. In that sense, you want some certainty that you are welcome to stay here. Again, I want to emphasize, and that's something the MAS mentioned today in the statement, out of the 25,000 jobs, 4 in 5 of those jobs are held by Singaporeans. So I think there's a complementary role played by talent from overseas, where we can find them and be able to bring them home and anchor them right here on this island.
All right. Your organization, part of a lobbying movement, certainly not just for Singapore, but Hong Kong as well. So this is an emailed letter submitted on the 21st of July of this year. And I quote from this letter, it's part of what you're saying. We respectfully encourage the MS to communicate its direction of travel to the industry at the earliest opportunity. So Mr. Chi, today is saying details will be rolled out as would happen on matters like these in budget that will be February, usually February of next year. But do you think you're seeing enough direction in this announcement to meet the needs that you spelt out in this letter?
Yes, I think we did ask for early directional signal. I believe Minister Chi answered that today. And Singapore has sent a very powerful signal that it wants to anchor a world-class asset management industry here. I think the role now for us as an industry is to work with the government, work with other stakeholders to flesh out the details of what was announced today. So I think we are looking very much forward to that.
All right. What we've heard from Mr. Chi, I think a compliment certainly to your organization, symmetries, a parallel nature between what he said, matching your propositions, which is spelled out in considerable detail in this letter.
Well, I would give...
Final question, your look ahead.
I'll give credit to the MAS and the Singapore government. I think the measures they announced today should not be looked at in isolation. They are part of a holistic, interlocking three measures that will help drive Singapore and propel the asset management industry forward. I would just end on one note, which is to remind everyone, ultimately, the value creation we're looking here, as the minister said, is about jobs. 25,000 jobs in Singapore. And today is not just about the 25,000 of them, our comrades in this industry. Hopefully, it's about the next 25,000.
Who will stay.
That's right.
That's well.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming in to join us in the studio, Mr. Kher Sheng Lee, Managing Director, Co-Head of APAC, and Deputy Global Head of Government Affairs at Alternative Investment Management Association. Thank you.
Thank you.